Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing 8 popular liquid glues. For each one of the glues that I tested, I took a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock that I have here. It's by Stampin' Up, and I put a line of the glue and then a substantial dot of the glue, and I spread the dot flat. Then I let this piece dry for 24 hours. Now, once I go through and tip this for you, I'm going to also do it live right here for each one so you can see the flow of how it comes out, okay? But so we're looking at Aleene's, the Art Glitter Glue, the Barely Art Glue, Distress Collage, Elmer's, iCraft Ultra Bond, Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive, and Tombow Mono Multi. And as you can see how each of the glue lines look after 24 hours. And I will bring it up close to the camera so that you can see it better. The finish of each one. Obviously they look different for a variety of different reasons. I'm not a chemist. I'm just looking at them and giving you a picture of what they look like so you can make choices of your own. I think I find it most interesting, this is just for me, is the touch of it, which you cannot see in the video. And so that I will talk about. This is glossy, smooth, not sticky. This also is glossy, smooth. These two feel similar, not sticky. This has a little bit of tack to it with your finger, more tack than these two, but not, I wouldn't say it finishes tacky. It just is maybe a little, it's not smooth glossy the way those are. This is smooth glossy with no tack. This is almost like the paper itself, smooth glossy except for the bubbles. This is a bit tacky, more so tacky than the Barely Art. So far this finishes the most tacky of all. This is more like the Barely Art, probably the same amount of finished tackiness, not very much. And this I would actually call sticky, with a sticky finish, which is what this glue is meant to do. If you let it dry, it says that actually on the packaging, that if you let it dry for 24 hours, it becomes a repositionable adhesive. That was its intention. Looking over here at the sides, the way they finish, as you can see the look of it, and I will tip the paper in a different way so you can see it different. And those tackiness features that I mentioned just before, they are true as well. Although I will say this, the Distress Collage and the Elmers I don't feel adhesive at all in this right here. I feel paper. Here you can tell that there is adhesive down, and this Barely Art is a little tacky here when it finishes. But not so in the Distress Collage, not so at all, and not at all with the Elmers either. The rest of them I wouldn't call them tacky. This may be a bit. The Nuvo maybe a bit. But definitely the Tombow Mono, yes. Now, why does that matter? That would matter because if you are gluing down a project and some of the glue leaks out where you don't want it, that matters. Then you're going to have a little tackiness or not tackiness depending on the glue you chose. If you want a repositionable adhesive or if you want a little bit of tack, of course that would matter. Let me tip this a little bit this way so you could see maybe in the different lighting. Maybe get a different view of it. Okay? This is a little bit of an unconventional way to test the glue. Again, I'm not saying that I like a certain one more or less than another. I'm saying this is what all these different glues have done after 24 hours and how they all look. So let's go through and put a fresh mark on each one. And I'll tell you the notes about each one that I took when I tested them elsewhere, okay? I wrote that this has a thin, this is the Aleene's, it has a thin feel to me when spreading, thin, leaking out of edges of folds when burnishing. I made 2 tunnel pages. This is on 25-pound weight paper, and this is on 65 weight pound cardstock. And you can see the finish. Here, this is what we're talking about, is the Aleene's. And you can see that it finishes smooth on the paper. Okay. Here is how it's sealed. Pretty good. Not really a lot of bubbling. And the hold after 24 hours is pretty good. No complaints. I'm talking about when I spread it through, it kind of, you know, leaked out, as it does, depending on how much I put on. Here's on a thinner paper. So you could see how it would look on a thinner paper. Okay, at several different angles. All right, and this is the Aleene's. After yesterday's work, I took all the nozzles off and soaked them in boiling water and scrubbed them all out, and then left all the bottles standing upright overnight. So they are all, when I open them up to test this, they all have fresh, clean nozzles, as you can see. This will tell us how it clogs or doesn't clog, because there should be no clog on any one of these, okay? So we have, that's kind of how I did the line there. So this is how it came out, and that's how it dried. And this was the size of the dot that I left and then spread it. Okay. That should give you a little idea. The art glitter glue, I made no notes when I was working with it. Nothing surprised me or caught me off guard or made me take notice to the point where I would want to write a note about it. Here is how it finished. You can see really not, this is the thinner weight paper for a tunnel page, and here is a 65-pound weight cardstock. Dries clear against the cardstock, as you can see. No issue. I've used this before, so I didn't, maybe that's why I didn't have too much to say. Ooh, nice. Okay, you could see the flow was nice and thin when it came out, not thick and dense. So you could see that flow. All right, the Barely Art glue. This is the box it came in. I didn't change the tip yet here. This is a storage tip, and it comes with all these tips. And this was the tip I used to test, only because it was most like the other tips that I was using. So you take this off. That's the storage tip. All right. And here's how the pages looked. Did I write any notes down about this? I'm going to tell you that this was pretty sticky and pretty grabby. I didn't write it down, but what happened was I had to make an extra tunnel page, and it stuck pretty good right away. This one you could see on the cardstock a little bit. I don't know if you could see that, a little bit of where it got a drip drop and dried. Shiny. That won't matter when you're making a mini album because all this is covered anyway. But just if that matters to you, then it matters to you. Yeah. So made a few tunnel pages, and you can see there where there's a little bit of glue right there. That's how it ends. Here's how it flows out. Okay, and nice. Not much different in flow than the art glitter glue, in my personal opinion. The Distress Collage Medium. This I only wrote, I'm interested to see how this does today, because yesterday when I made this, it was a brand new bottle. I hadn't opened it yet at all. And I keep my glues upright on the table, and I purchased it from an upright position. And when I went and opened it, it was an immediate clog, and I was shocked because I have not experienced that before. I made a note for myself that the wiggle room with this Distress Collage medium that I had, the wiggle room was very good, medium to very good. In other words, I had considerable time to shift my tunnel page around and beforehand. It's holding pretty well. You can see there's not really a lot of wrinkle. It dries nice, and of course definitely that matte finish. And okay, this was the only one that I could not clean the tip because the tip is attached to the bottle in a way that I cannot clean it. But what I did do is I stored it overnight with a safety pin inside of it. So hopefully we're going to have success here with the bottle. Okay, it's pretty thick, as you can see. Remember too that this is a matte, it doesn't advertise itself to be a flowing glue with a high water content like some of these other ones. So just because it comes out like that, it doesn't mean it's bad. It means it's doing what it was designed to do. This is a gel medium, so it's acting like a gel medium. Let me pound it down on the table. Because I know that it might be apt to clog and that there's no way for me to clean this top, I'm going to keep a little safety pin in it, and that just helps me with the life of the glue. I have to say that the only reason that I included Elmers in this mix is because as I was going through my stuff in the basement, I found school projects and things like that, childhood school projects that were put together with this glue, and they were still held together. And I thought, well, I need to test this in with the rest because we're talking about holding a good, strong holding glue. So we'll just see. We'll see its qualities. The only note that I made about this while I was working was that it really took a while to grab and hold when I was making these tunnel pages. And as you can see, the wrinkling that happens, which I expected because of its high water content. And then here is on the 65-pound cardstock. The hold is pretty solid in there, but again, if that wrinkling bothers you, then you're going to want to stay away from any type of glue that has a higher water content. Okay, this school glue. So I also took the tip off of this and cleaned it just like the other ones. If it had a tip that I could take off, I did it. So just to let you know. Yep, acting just like school glue. It feels watery in the flow. It feels watery. Next is the iCraft Ultra Bond adhesive. And what did I write here as I was making these tunnel pages? Oh, I remember. Yeah, this, I'm glad I wrote notes. Sticky to the touch. When you are working with this, if you get a little bit on your fingers, it is sticky. It is a sticky, sticky glue to work with. Great on paper, not great if you get it all over you. It feels thin to spread, and you'll see when I go to use it that it's got a slight purple color when it is wet. Here is a look at the tunnel pages that I made. Here is with a nice thin paper. Well, the 25-pound, so a thinner paper. Oh yeah, it's holding it pretty good. Not a whole lot of wrinkling, even on thin. So if you like to work with thin projects, and here is with a 65-pound weight paper. I have used this before in the past, and you can see it leaked. When it leaked out and dried, you do see it on the cardstock there because of its shiny finish. But I do like well, I'm trying not to say what I like and don't like. I'm just trying to give a review. Not a lot of wrinkling. Let me say it different. Not a lot of wrinkling here. Yeah. So let me show you how it looks when it is spread. It's got a slight purplish tint to it when it first comes out of the bottle, which is good because then you know if it's still wet or not. But look how it dries. It does dry perfectly clear. Next is the Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive. And here is a look at the tunnel pages on a thinner paper. You can see not a lot of wrinkling, if any. Dries real nice and smooth. Here's another with the tunnel pages. This is with the 65-pound weight. Yeah, nice and smooth here. No wrinkling or warping. Even if I'm trying to look, as a matter of fact, I made a second one. Yeah, no wrinkling. No wrinkling here or here. My notes were, I was really upset because this is a glue that is pretty often on my table, and I had an immediate clog when I went to use these. And the wiggle room was, I worded it as reasonable to low. In other words, it grabs quick. Okay, there's the flow of it, and you can see kind of how it flows out. Again, all these began with clean tips from boiling water, which clearly is the way to go with the liquid glue. Finally, the Tombow Mono. This, I do want to point out that it has two tips, a fine tip and a fatter tip to create this spreading if you wanted to. It is immediately, this was my one singular note, immediate sticky on fingers. Immediate sticky on fingers. And everything else, I might add. Okay, you can see how it looks with the thin paper. Really not a lot of warping. A nice finish. Here is the tunnel page on the thicker. I am not going to use this tunnel page, and here's why. Because a little bit of it leaked out into the sides. This was user error, okay? It's not the glue's fault. It's the way that I glued it, because I put too thick of a line, and so it leaked out, and then because it's so sticky, it got inside the tunnel, and I had to pull it apart like that. You see that? It's even grabbing as such, okay? And this is 24 hours later. When I make cards, I'm adding this in because I don't want you to steer away from this glue with the fact that it's so sticky. If you are making cards, for example, which I used this for years to make cards because I wanted that feature. So again, it's all about what you're looking for in the glue, and that's why I wanted to do the review this way. And let's take a look at how it flows out. Again, I took this tip off, cleaned it last night. Now you could see that is how it will dry, okay? And let me show you the other tip. Okay, like that, so that you can go like that if you wanted to. All right, that is your demonstration of this, and let's move on to... Okay, here's another test that I did. I did it 24 hours ago on purpose. Here are all the glues again with a piece of vellum. The vellum is from Stampin' Up, and I'm cutting it a few times so you can see the kind of thickness that it is, and that it is just the way that it is. Okay, I don't know how else to explain, but so that you can see the kind of vellum that it is. Well, as expected, I really didn't think that any of these glues would be able to pass the vellum test. As you could see all of them throughout the vellum. That is typical for a liquid glue anyway. Your best bet with vellum is to use, if you don't want to see any adhesive at all, is to use, if you're going to use a liquid adhesive, then, you know, you put like maybe a sticker over it or an embellishment over it, or use it somewhere where you can hide it, or just revert to brads or eyelets or things like that nature. Okay, so that behaved typical for each one of the liquid glues, and I am not surprised. The foam test, this is a little bit of, I guess we would call it fun foam, no adhesive on either side, and you could see I just cut a little piece. Oh, it's because it's all gunked up. My scissors are gunked up. All right, and then I put the same amount of, let's see, which glue should we use here? We'll use this. Okay. I will show you how I glued each one down. I put, take this out. I went like this on the paper, about that size, put the foam down, stuck it, and left it. Didn't touch it, nothing. I didn't put a paperweight over it. I didn't touch it. I just did just what you saw me do for each one of these glues, okay? And that is how I tested the foam. Now, I was waiting because what I want to do is pull these up. I want to see. I want to pull these up, but I don't want to be in the way. Oh, yeah, good. Okay, Aleene's. Very good. All right, good. That holds pretty good. Okay. Now the art glitter glue. Oh, are you kidding me? I did not expect that at all. Oh my gosh. The Barely Art. Okay, good, good. Okay, good. The Distress Collage. Oh my gosh. The Elmers. Okay. All right. The iCraft Ultra Bond. Wow. All right. The Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive. Yeah, I figured that. I've used this before with this. Yeah. The Tombow Mono Multi. Oh my. Oh, good grief. Okay. Great. So now if you are, and this is the one we just did. Okay, this is the one we just stuck. What did we use, by the way? The Distress? Okay. This is, let me take this off here, just so we could see. All right. That is really interesting. Here are the results of all the glues using basic fun foam. This would matter to you probably if you, not just if you do that kind of craft, but if you do shaker cards, or if you do a lot of things with like foam, like dimensional foam, things like that. Great to know. This side says, it says glossy chipboard. All right, I use a lot of like cereal box, beverage box, things like that in my projects as a dimensional to add lift or whatever. So what I did was for this test, I cut a little piece off of this beverage box, and because I know what to do, when you're working with a glossy side of something, cereal box or whatever, what you really need to do is sand it down. You really do. You need to sand down that glossy off of it. So to be fair, I sanded down a piece, and then I cut strips like that, and then glued it down, face down. So that's what we're seeing here with this. test. Okay, so let's do it the same way with the Aleenes. Okay, good. The art glitter glue. Good. Oh, wow, good. Okay. The Barely Art. Wow. The Distress Collage. Okay. The Elmers. The iCraft Ultra Bond. The Nuvo. And the Tombow Mono Multi. Wow. Really good. All right. And that's how the test went. I don't even have any words. You can see for yourself and make your own conclusions about how you like glues to behave based on the way your projects go. The next thing I'm going to talk about quickly is the availability and price of each one of these, although I have the feeling that you probably already know. Depending on where you live, your availability of any of these glues going to a brick and mortar store might be slim to none. All of them are available online. Although I will say that sometimes at one point or another, some of them are out of stock frequently. Namely this one. This one I have personally experienced is often hard to come by. But they, check out the links that I will provide below the video. And also I'm going to set up a blog post that you can go over, and the links that are on the blog post will always be up-to-date links. Some of them will link to Amazon if I can find that as the best price. Probably for the art glitter glue, your best availability and price is going to be via Amazon. Although I will say that Scrapbook Pal has been extremely good with price and availability for all of these, including the Nuvo. Scrapbook Pal has been my my number one choice. Again, all these are going to be over on the blog. Let me put a link right up here so that you can head quickly over to the blog without leaving the video, and then you can come back. You're going to find, at your Joann's stores, if you have Joann's nearby, you're probably going to find this and this most likely at your Joann's, depending on the size and location of your Joann. Well, you're always going to find this too. Everywhere. You're going to find this everywhere. So that the availability for that is really good. But again, your Joann's, depending on that, is gonna always have these. I find this, like I said, I found it at an actual. I got mine at an actual craft show, but I find that Scrapbook Pal has been having it and having it in stock. So check out that link. Price wise, if you've been crafting at all, you know that these two are really inexpensive. And you saw by the performance that if you're just getting into crafting, you could probably get away with using this until you build up maybe enough funds for yourself to get one of the more expensive glues, if that's what you're trying to do. That's why I was trying to do the tests, so that you really had a good picture of what each one did and for the price. This I love using this for, I love having this on hand because I can use it for mixed media projects, and that is really nice for me. My personal favorites that I have used over time for different projects, because I like to have all these on hand, that's just me. I really like these two for card making. I really, really like it a lot. This especially because it just grabs quick, sticks forever, and you can use it as that repositionable adhesive if you need it. I really like for mini albums this and this. And I haven't used this enough to make that recommendation, but I could see how it performs in just making a tunnel page. That gives me that idea. I've used this in lots of mixed media projects and this in everything. This is really good, although I wouldn't necessarily use this in mixed media just because it doesn't, I would always grab this for mixed media. That's just me. But, you know, your mini albums, cards, scrapbook pages, things like that. Hopefully this glue review has helped you see how the glues perform with a variety of different surfaces, and hopefully it'll help you make some decisions along the way and really just give you a good picture about whether it's worth your time, effort, and money to get the glue that you've been thinking about getting all along. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and thanks so much for watching. Remember to head over to the blog post and you can check out the availability and links to get any of these at the best price that I could find for you. And thanks so much for supporting Sandpaper Road by sharing this video with your crafty friends. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.